Using a 19mm socket, remove your right front wheel. Go ahead and release our little tabs on our covers here. Go ahead and lift this up. And go ahead and lift up on the other side here. Pull this up and out. We'll set these aside. We're going to go ahead and remove our strut tower brace. I'm going to use a 13mm socket. Move the 3 on this side. I'm going to go ahead and remove this 10mm here. And on the back side, there's a 10mm right here. On the back passenger side, there's a 10 here. Let's go ahead and lift this up. Using our 17mm swivel socket and a couple extensions, we're going to go down to the top bracket nuts right here. I'm going to go ahead and grab our power steering pump hose here. Pull this out of the way, tuck that off to the side, and this is going to give us a little bit more room to work here. Gonna reach down and pull that bracket off. So we're going to want to go ahead and remove our heater hose bracket. We're just going to slightly tweak that a little bit, and there's a 10mm nut on the back side. That bracket gone, it's going to allow us a lot more arm room to get in there. All right, so we're able to get that bolt out to the point where we can spin it by hand. And we'll go ahead and get that out completely. I'm going to use a floor jack with a block of wood on it, and we're going to go ahead and support the engine. We're going to go ahead and pull that motor mount out. So now we can go ahead and wiggle the mount loose. I'm going to try and pull this over to the driver's side. There's another bracket here that is attached or goes through that motor mount bolt right here. And it's keeping us from getting our mount free. So I'm going to try and move that out of the way. And on the bottom of this mount, there is a hydraulic line. So what we're going to do is reach underneath it and separate that. You can separate it simply by pulling on it. Now, please be aware that there's probably going to be some hydraulic fluid in there, or hydraulic oil. As you pull this out, you might get some dribbles of fluid coming out of that unit. But now what we need to do is work this up and out from the driver's side. Pull off the upper rubber isolator on there. If I can get that off separately, it will allow for less options for it to bind on something on its way out. With that off, go ahead and grab that mount, work that on up this way here. Let's go ahead and fit our insulator pad on now. Let's go ahead and drop this down inside now. And go ahead and grab your hydraulic hose. Feed that onto the bottom post on the bottom there. Work that up. Now when you install your mount, the hydraulic hose needs to be facing towards the engine, not the firewall. There is a notch that is positioned to accommodate that hose. Now let's go ahead and position our mount. I'm going to go ahead and line up this little bracket with the mount. And try to get one of these back bolts started. Get a few threads started by hand. Let's get one started by hand. I'm going to install the front bolt, and then I'll switch over to the other side. Try and get those started. Get the third bolt started. And our fourth bolt. I'm going to go ahead and lower the motor. And remove the jack. Now installing our horizontal bolt, trying to get that to thread in. We don't believe that the threads are lined up yet. So what we have to do is shift the mount a little bit to get that to line up. I'm going to go ahead and want to try and move this mount over a little bit to our left. Use our pry tool just to try and tap that in there and push that over. With that moved over, we now have the threads caught. Let's go ahead and tighten that bolt down. The bolt is going in very easy by hand. All right, we got it bottomed out. All right, let's go ahead and get our wrench on there and we'll tighten that down. All right, let's go ahead and feed our bracket down. Go ahead and bring our power steering hose over. I'm going to go ahead and get our bracket reinstalled here. Just going to thread in that 10mm bolt. Once that's started, I'm just going to go ahead and snug that down. Snug that bolt down and get our hose popped into that clamp. I'm going to grab your harness back here and get that pressed onto that hanger tab. And same thing on this one here. Just get this harness pressed back onto this bracket. Now installing your strut tower brace here, I'm going to go ahead and get everything lined up. We want to get all of our bolts and nuts set into place. You don't want to torque these down until the vehicle has all the tires on it, and go ahead and lower it down to the ground on level ground. And install our 10mm bolts on the back on the passenger side here. And repeat for the driver's side. Let's go ahead and install your wheel. Get our lug nuts all started by hand first, and then we'll snug those down. We'll go ahead and torque our lug nuts to 80 foot-pounds. Now that the vehicle has the wheels on it and it's on level ground, we're going to go ahead and tighten down all of our torque strut components. Install our little hose bracket right here.